Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to our session on DevOps, Beyond Dev and Ops, starting on the right foot to rocket. Today we have with us Kubair Shirazee to share his knowledge and experience. And the little information for our participant: by attending this session, you are entitled to report 1 SEU in category F for Scrum lines and 1 PDU for project management people. During this session, we request everyone to mute your microphone, and if you have any thoughts or any questions, please share it in the chat box so I can help say it, or Shiraz, Kubair, if you have any questions directly, you can also ask them. Yeah, so over to you, Kubair, then.
Thank you very much. So guys, I'm going to skip on the introducing myself part. I have a very heavy digital footprint. So feel free to check me out on LinkedIn, and on my blog, you can see the address down on the right-hand side. I'm going to jump straight into the topic of conversation. So before I do that, I'd like to start with a simple Kanban principle of, starting with what we know. So I'd like to know what does DevOps mean to you guys? So you can see a link on my slide. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. If you can go to this link, it will take you to MentorMeter, and there I'd like you to basically enter what DevOps means to you, which will give all of us a bit of an insight into what DevOps really means to all of us. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to do that. And if you have any questions on how to get there, please let me know. Or if you go to MentorMeter, or if you go to menti.com, you can use the code, which is 527154, to interact with the deck. Cool, we got one person on there. Don't be shy, guys. Jump on it. This is an interactive session. I think we've got one more participant, right? So we got 4 people on the call. Okay, so I'm going to proceed anyhow. So thank you very much for interacting with that, guys, and keep your menti.com or MentorMeter open. We've got another slide to look at and interact with. So, okay, what that kind of like says to me is I'm talking to an audience full of engineers, which is perfectly fine, which was the intended audience anyway. And it kind of validates my choice of the topic, which is looking at DevOps beyond engineering, or rather before engineering, looking at DevOps. So the next thing really is, what is DevOps about from your perspective? Again, if you go to MentorMeter, you will see another slide deck, and over here I've got some predefined choices, right? Just to kind of narrow down and zone in specific areas. And I'd like to see, what do you guys think? Is DevOps about automation, learning, measurement, culture? What is it about? And again, I'll give you guys a minute to interact and think about it. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I'm going to jump back to my deck. This gives me a good insight to the audience I'm talking to. Okay, bear with me for a second. So DevOps is surprisingly about mindset. Yeah, all of those answers are right. It is about release. It is about release planning. It is about tech as an enabler. It is about automating stuff. But the biggest part from my perspective, it starts with the mindset. So yeah, it is about culture. It's about people. DevOps is less about technology, just like Agile is less about doing Agile. It's more about the mindset that we you could say that we put on or engage when we go out and start having those DevOps conversations or those Agile conversations with our customers and our product owners and our businesses and our end users and our stakeholders. Guys, if you have questions, feel free to interrupt me. So if you guys do have questions, you don't have to hold back, just unmute, ask me the questions, and I think that might be a better way of utilizing our time. So what's the DevOps mindset? So it all starts with people, right? And it all starts with people and it ends up in a team. It's about the one team mindset. And this isn't about bifurcating the team into the engineering team or the development team and the QA team and then the business team. Remember, in our world as Agile practitioners and in the modern complex world, there is no bifurcation of teams. There is no division within teams. It's all just one big team. And I prefer to call it business rather than tech, because tech is just an enabler for business and everything is business. Therefore, your team of engineers, of QA guys, of ops guys, etc., they all sit within one big team, and that team is the business team. The DevOps mindset is about continuous learning, which again is going back to its roots in agility, that Agile in itself is all about continuous learning. And hence, DevOps is also about continuous learning. And then again, it's also about amplifying the feedback loop. Now, you could say this is just a slide on agility. Well, DevOps has its roots in Agile frameworks and making sure that we can do things better. And that's where it kind of comes from. And again, it's about, the mindset is also about amplifying the feedback loops. So every retrospective, we go back and we learn, not just about how to improve the product backlog, how to improve the value and get the value extracted for the customer, but also how do we improve our process and how do we get stuff to the customer sooner rather than later. Which kind of brings me to the next thing, which is, so DevOps, as you guys know, is a huge topic, right? So I had the challenge of going, okay, how do I fit DevOps, an opening conversation on DevOps with you guys in a short period of time? So there are many things I could have selected, but I've selected the 3 ways. Guys, just a quick question. How many of you have come across the 3 ways? Please unmute and let me know.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Okay, cool. In that case, let me introduce you to the 3 ways. So the 3 ways are like the core fundamentals of DevOps, right? And about the mindset. So for a second, just park DevOps and just think about 3 ways and the mindset. So what is this? What is the 3 ways and how does it relate to our mindset? The first way is about improving flow. And if any of you are familiar with Kanban, it's about flow efficiency. But it's end-to-end flow efficiency. It's from ideation through to getting the product in front of or in the hands of the customer. You know, from the moment that someone adds a user story or says, hey, I have a idea for a new feature on our product, through to the time that the feature is in front of the customer and the customer is using it. So it's all about flow efficiency, right? So it's about taking stuff from start to finish or from ready to done as soon as possible. And you'll find words used as fast as possible. Just be wary of that. There's a big difference in going fast and going swiftly. We need to make sure that we go swiftly so that we don't trip over ourselves. The second way is about improving and increasing the feedback loops from left to right, right? So you're all familiar with the Scrum iteration symbol. So it's about making sure that whatever we deliver as a potentially shippable product, we've got enough learnings from the retrospective and from our sprint review meetings that we feed back both into the product owner and the discussions the product owner is going to have with the customers, but also into the process. And when I talk about the process, it's a holistic process, right? So don't think because your product owner is not a technical guy or an engineer, they shouldn't be privy to this conversation. All the conversations we have on continuous learning, continuous improvement should be had with the team. And as I said, the team includes everyone from product owner through to the guys that the product owners got in the UAT group, right? So we're all one team, and we need to reflect on all the learnings, taking them from the end of a cycle through to the beginning of the cycle, and how do we improve it. And again, this is a huge mind shift. It's a paradigm shift on how we work. Now, the third way is about improving the flow. Hang on a second. Yeah, it's about getting stuff to the customer as quickly as possible. And again, this is literally about timing. Yeah, I think that's a duplicate slide there. Yeah, that is a duplicate slide there. So it literally boils down to how can we get stuff from ready to done as swiftly as possible? How can we improve our flow efficiency so we can cut down the amount of waste in the system? And how do we learn from the process so that we make sure that every time we do it a little bit better, so we can incrementally improve our process, our product, and our interaction with our customers, with the key thing being getting value in front of the customer as soon as possible. So it's about doing more with less, but it's also about cutting down waste, and it's also about learning in that process. Do you guys have any questions so far? Okay, cool.
No.
So what next? So again, DevOps is a huge topic, and I've just spoken to you about what we call the 3 ways or the fundamentals of the mindset of going into DevOps. Now, how can you guys make this real? How can you take this back to work tomorrow? What I'd suggest is you start with 2 things, right? And time again, when I work with, when I'm coaching teams, regardless of the part of the world I'm coaching in, teams always revert to tech as next steps. So I hear teams go, hey, we got Jenkins, or hey, is GitHub better than GitLabs? Or, should we be using Selenium? Forget all of that, right? Don't forget it, but put that to the back of your head. Why? Because you need to first work on the mindset, and you need to educate your leaders, right? Because that's where the mindset is going to come from. Those are the guys who are going to influence the culture the greatest, right? Because we can't bring a DevOps culture or an Agile culture. It's hard to go bottom up. Yeah, it's easier when it's both bottom up and top down. But what we as Agile practitioners need to do is we need to educate our leaders, yeah, in terms of what is the required mindset. And this particular topic goes beyond just DevOps, because when it comes to educating leaders, the first place you need to really start is what's the outcome that they're after. Yeah, so the outcome for a business is always going to be the bottom line. And in order to meet that bottom line, they need to know what the outcome is for the customer so that they build the right product. And then it's our job to get that right product or the right feature in front of the customers as swiftly as is possible. So if you take that approach and you say, look, we can contribute towards a quicker return on investment, but the way to do it is to effectively change our culture. And I'm talking about changing the culture of leadership, the middle management, as well as the teams themselves. But the culture of the teams to change, in my experience, is easier than changing the culture of the middle management. That's where your real challenge is going to sit. Changing the culture of the leaders relative to changing the culture of middle management is easier. Why? Because they get it. Yeah, when you say to them that, like, we can improve the speed of the return on investment that you're going to make if we can focus on the outcome, i.e. get true value in front of the customer as often as is possible and as swiftly as is possible, the leaders will completely get it. But your middle management is going to be a struggle. That's where you will need to educate them, and you'll need to sell it to them essentially. I think that's just about enough time I'd like to spend on telling you stuff. What I'd like to do now is just open up for some questions. I'm just cognizant of the fact that we only have a few more minutes left.
Actually, I would like to know how to implement the DevOps. I get the idea that we're going to implement it in a Kanban way, like we'll do it. We are focusing on the flow, but
Okay,
how
so
we implement it? What's
I
the
want you
practice idea?
to take a few steps back, because before you implement DevOps, you need the right culture, you need the right mindset to implement DevOps. DevOps is about people. DevOps is about empowering people. It is not about technology. Yeah, technology is an enabler that helps the people get to what the people want. Right. So the first thing in terms of what do I do to practically implement DevOps? I mean, if you want a list of tools, there are a gazillion websites you could go and get a list of tools from. But will that actually add true value to your team, to your organization? I seriously doubt it. Yeah. What you want to look at is, how do I change the mindset whereby everyone thinks about getting things in front of the customer swiftly? Yeah, and getting the right things in front of the customer swiftly. And in that case, your journey really starts with your product owner. And the product owner's journey really starts with conversations with the customer. Because there's little point for us to release feature after feature, and hit metrics like, hey, we deploy to prod 10 times a day, when you're deploying the wrong stuff to prod anyway. I mean, if there's no value in it for the customer, regardless how many times you release it, it's not really going to do anything for you. So how do you implement DevOps? You go back to your product owners and you make sure that they can understand what true customer value is, B, what a minimum viable product looks like. That will enable them to sift through and prioritize the right stuff to get in front of the customer. And then that's our job as engineers then to take it across from that ideation process, definitely ready by us, through to the where it's in front of the customer. That's something that I would like you guys to focus on before you start thinking about tooling. Because believe me, the tooling part is easy. I can run you guys another session and tell you what you need in terms of tooling from web apps, mobile apps, a large data heavy analytic systems. That part is easy. But the hard part, where the true value sits, is the culture and the people.
Okay, like I have a case, a team in my company, they are going to implement DevOps. So like in their case, the management, they are willing to implement it for that project. So I was just wondering what's the next step for them. Like I was in discussion with those people. And
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why are you implementing DevOps? Why is this team implementing DevOps?
yeah, this is the question, right? They are trying to automate the testing stuff and the build process, and they're calling it DevOps. They will get the product.
Okay, so but why are they after automating testing, and why are they after automating the build process? What are they trying to get out of it?
They're trying to reduce the time that it takes, because earlier we do it through SCM. We have a separate department for it. We send the bill to them. We send the revision number that please build for against this revision, and then they build it for us. But through DevOps, but I know that you can configure everything, and then we are going to just press one button and the build will be deployed to the your beta testing server.
Okay, so there's a journey that goes from, so first thing that you guys are doing right, or the team is doing right, is you're breaking down that silo. Yeah, you're bringing your platform operations closer to your development team. So that is, they get brownie points for that. But this concept of one-click deploy it's a journey. You're not going to get there on day one or week two. Yeah, it's going to take you some time to configure your processes, configure your tooling, get into the right mindset, make sure that your backlog's right, and then one day you will get there. So you want to set that expectation that, you know, just because someone has said, hey, we're going to do DevOps from next sprint, doesn't mean that when it comes to releases, it'll be one click and boom, everything works. It's going to be a painful process. In terms of what my advice to this team would be, rope in the product owner. Make sure that, you know, regardless of whether they do, well, regardless of the speed or the swiftness with which they can get a product in front of the customer, make sure you guys start with the right features, start with the right product. Because again, I'm kind of like sounding like a broken record. You don't want to put DevOps in a place where it exasperates or you know, blows up your problems. Because remember, if you can now suddenly swiftly release your product, it means you can swiftly get your mistakes in front of the customer. And I don't mean technical mistakes as in like, you know, bugs or anything. I mean building the wrong stuff to begin with. Because if your customers get to see that time and time again, this company is now, you know, this product has multiple releases a sprint or multiple releases a month, but they're chucking out the wrong stuff. You know, people will lose faith in that product. So you want to make sure that you're building the right stuff to begin with. Remember, swiftness of just getting something in front of someone has no value. Swiftness and getting the right stuff in front of the right people is where the magic happens. You know, so it's kind of like saying, we want to implement a process. I want to get a waiter, so every time I want something, he gets it to me rather quickly. You know, and I don't have to, you know, engage with multiple parties to get what I want. And if I'm thirsty, and instead of water, the guy gets me a hot tea, that's not going to help me, is it? And it doesn't help me if he gives me 5 teas a minute, because that's not what I want. So the conversation for DevOps to work really starts with the product owner, that have they got the right backlog? Have they been talking to the customer? Have they got their priority right? Because remember, you guys are just part of the journey. The bigger part of the journey is figuring out what the customer truly needs, not what the customer truly wants, because there's a big difference between what they want and what they need. Have we understood what they truly need? And if they have, then yeah, DevOps can help us bring those two together and get it to them rather swiftly. Does that help?
You have given a completely new perspective about DevOps to me.
That's the whole idea, you know, because it's beyond dev and it's beyond ops. It's about a paradigm shift.
I have 2 more questions.
Please.
Yeah. What I can see the logo of the Scrum, like there's a sprint and the daily Scrum thing. So we can implement the DevOps thing with Scrum as well.
So again, it's you can implement DevOps with waterfall, my friend. Yeah. Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Before you think about DevOps, think about the mindset. You know, are we ready to roll out getting products to our customers swiftly at the end of every sprint? I mean, of course, we should be, but are we getting the right stuff to them? So you can implement DevOps if you're running Scrum. You can implement DevOps if you're running in hypercare mode for Kanban, right? And it really helps because you've already got the right stuff to the customer, but something's broken, you know, needs a bit of fix. And yeah, in which case being able to release on a daily basis or within half an hour of getting a bug fix in place is super valuable.
Okay, so it means you don't necessarily to work with Kanban mod while implementing DevOps. It's something you're talking about, the product owner's responsibility of working with the client and getting things done what client wants, giving it what client wants. This is the definition.
So again, it's wordplay, right? It's not what the client wants, it's what the client needs. And if we go with what the client wants, then the client wants a bloody Rolls Royce, you know. But what the client actually needs is a mode of transportation. So, which means we might get away by giving the client a bicycle. We don't have to build a Rolls Royce. So it's the mindset. And it's the way we talk to our customers and our clients to get them to understand that, look, We're asking you a gazillion questions because we're trying to figure out what you need rather than what you want. And once we understand what you need, we can deliver true value to you, and you will thank us for it.
Right. My last question. Sorry, I'm taking much of your time.
No, go ahead, please.
What's the difference between a normal Scrum or normal Kanban and DevOps? If this is the same thing, I believe the product owner is doing with the customer. They do have if it's the real product owner, it can be the person from the business as well. So in this case, what do you think is the difference between DevOps and Scrum?
There's okay. So DevOps again. Okay, let me figure out how to answer you best. Both are a mindset. Yeah. There's no difference. The difference comes when you start looking at a operational level, or if you deep dive into the detail on doing DevOps or doing Scrum, right? But that's not where we want to start with. We want to be agile. And Scrum is just one of many frameworks that we use to do agile. Yeah. So the first thing is about being agile. Again, DevOps is about being agile. It's about being nimble. It's about being able to continuously improve and learn from the work we do. B, about cutting down the amount of time it takes to get something from it's just hit my backlog and it's been prioritized by my product owner in front of the customer. So it's squeezing that time down. And it's about improving the flow, cutting down waste in the system. So I want you guys to step away from thinking about DevOps and Scrum as frameworks. I want you to start thinking about Agile as a mindset, and DevOps being a subset of that mindset from an engineering perspective, right? So think less about how do I do this? Think more about how do I be this?
Great answer, Kubair. So last few minutes left. So if any further questions from the participants?
Hey, Zishan, good to have you on the call.
Hey, how are you? Yes, I was a bit stuck in the traffic. Anyway, it's really good to have you. So let's see if there are any further questions. Otherwise, I know you have a meeting ahead. So if you want to go ahead.
So guys, any last questions? I've got another 3 minutes with you. It's your time.
I can ask a question if anyone does want. What common challenge have you faced by changing the mindset? You talk about the mindset, but any common challenge that you would like to highlight while changing that mindset for the DevOps?
There are no common challenges, right? Because we're all unique.
Your favorite challenge?
Any of my favorite challenges? Middle management as a bottleneck. There you go. That is the hardest challenge, and hence it is my favorite challenge. So as I was saying earlier in the call, when I start coaching a department or a team, I always start with business. Why? Because all problems go upstream. Yeah, if we can fix business, then stuff for us down at the team level, delivery side, becomes easy. Why? Because if your product owner knows how to write a good user story, convey the actual actor want and value to the team with a good acceptance criteria, your job as engineers becomes super easy. Yeah. And that's the mindset change we need to do for business owners or for product owners. Team level, I'm saying it's easy, but it's not easy. Team level is relatively easy to get the teams in the right mindset. Middle management, leaders, again, it's not easy, but it's relatively easy to get them in the right mindset because we've got to talk to different audiences using the right motivations for them. And for business leaders, things like, hey, getting the right stuff in front of the right customer will become easier and will be swiftly done is usually a great motivation. Currently, especially in the current climate we're in, where every enterprise and their dog are going through a transformative experience because you know why? Startups are killing them. And they've been going through this transformative journey for the last decade and a half, because they've seen the writing on the wall in the late 1990s. You know, when the bubble burst, they knew exactly what was coming, and the clever ones started thinking about it, and they got around to implementing it, you know, a good decade later. But the middle management is always the challenge, because these are the guys, and some of them are lifers, i.e. dinosaurs, who don't want to move from where they are, and a lot of them don't want to learn new stuff, because you know what, for them this is just a fad. What they don't get is this is not a fad. This is the natural state of being. Agility is a natural state of being. That's what we are as creatures. Yeah, we've moved away from a reductionist approach where we live in tiny boxes in a structured organization. We're moving more towards, we're in a complex world, moving and adapting to that complex world, which essentially means that we need to be super swift at inspecting and adapting and responding to change and complexity. And that's something that I find is a challenge with middle managers. But not to say that it can't be overcome. Once again, if you find the right motivation of those individuals who are acting as bottlenecks and get that across to them, then the journey becomes a little easier. But it is hard. Don't have any kind of fallacies about this. It is transforming mindset and culture and people is hard.
Yeah, exactly. But one very quick question. I mean, I often hear about the middle management becoming a challenge, and someone refers to it as a permafrost. If DevOps or anything else helps to move, like deliver value to the customer quickly, isn't it a good thing? Like, why would middle management not want to deliver value to the customer quickly? What problem do they have?
It's simple, my friend. It's one word. It's called change. No one likes change. We're change agents. We don't like change. So there you have it. That's why people are resistant to change, because they don't like change. Unless you can convince them with the right motivation why that change is good for them.
So it's also about mindset and with the change management strategies. Good, yeah.
It goes hand in glove, right? Because I can't change your mindset. I can't change your belief system. You can change your belief system. I just need to give you the right reasons to change your belief system.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, good. Thank you very much, Kubair, for that.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. This was my first outing on your Scrum group in Pakistan. I'm absolutely loving it, guys. Thank you very much for having me. And feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn, or if you have any questions, etc., just hit me up.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kubair.
Thank you very much. Thank you.